Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Test Associates podcast. My name is Vaishnavi Nashe. I'm the marketing lead here. And today we are having a conversation with Roland Castelino. He's a test automation leader at BMO. He specializes in scaling automation within complex, fast-paced organizations. He's really passionate about developing resilient QA practices that empower developers and boost engineering confidence. So, without any further ado, welcome to the podcast, Roland. How are you?
Well, I'm good, and I appreciate the introduction. I actually appreciate the opportunity to be able to talk to you and the audience. I think it's an interesting topic. It's probably a topic that affects maybe everybody in the QA space. So, yeah,
Mhm.
it's going to
Yeah,
be a
I
good
mean,
conversation,
you're
I believe.
also going to talk at a conference that's coming up in Toronto in the month of May. So we're really excited to
Right.
uh, really excited to have you as a speaker. And then obviously the podcast is linked to what you'll be talking about. So our audience will also be able to get a bit of an insight into, your speaking topic.
Sure. Yeah, I think, yeah, we can
Yeah.
connect all of it to the speaking topic. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So my first question to you is, why do you think anyone that works with test automation should care about scaling test automation and not just building it? And I'd like your personal experience as well with it.
Why do we care about scaling automation and not just building it? I think that's the core of everything, right? Like when we talk of test automation, why are we even building something?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we start from the idea of why do we build a framework or why do we even test?
Yeah.
The idea would be for any organization dealing with software to be able to repeat the same thing over and over again, to be able to test better, to be able to test broader.
Mm-hmm.
So scale, I think, matters more because then that's the adoption, right? Then you have a consistent framework
Mm-hmm.
which everybody can use, everybody can um, start implementing in a very consistent manner. So there is a flow of events during your SDLC cycle. Imagine if you do not scale, then what happens, right? So if you do not scale, that introduces a lot of challenges, roadblocks, a lot of energy and time wasted.
Right.
So scale is paramount. And the reason I keep referring to that word scaling is because it means how do you make something and just not just make something, but make it larger, where you get everybody to contribute towards it and everybody to use it. And for me, in my experience, I've been with several different domains from healthcare, from retail, from telecom. I've seen a lot of teams developing frameworks, developing test automation ideas, presenting them, making proof of concepts. They do catch some steam, but then the idea dies down. It fizzles off. Nothing becomes sustainable and nothing sticks around. There
Mm-hmm.
are very few in an organization who will be able to stick around and kind of make it grow bigger. Um, and that's a skill. There's a skill to it on how do you actually scale and get the benefits of your test automation.
Right. And I'm curious to understand how does like your work environment, like what role does that play in, scaling test automation? Like, do you think your organization culture or, if there's a particular structure to it, do you think like these elements sort of play a role in this?
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. A lot depends on the organization's vision and the culture in which we are.
Mm-hmm.
In the QA space,
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
in the QA space, right? I think uh, everybody wants test automation, but nobody's very clear on what do you mean by that. What do we mean by what's the outcome we need to achieve? A
Right.
test is technically like an experiment, right? Like I have a software, I run an experiment and see does it give me the outcome that I desire. So it's a very conditioned environment that you create. You put your software through it and you just observe what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And to do that over and over again at a very broader scale, to expand that towards different kinds of tests, um, that is challenging because the organization as a whole is more focused on how do I release this product to my customers
Yeah.
rather than focusing on, okay, how do I before releasing the product, how do I make sure that it goes through this life cycle of running all these experiments to make sure that it is performing the way I want my customers to use it, and
Mm-hmm.
then releasing it. So it's a kind of like business versus technology uh, push that most of us feel in the QA industry.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those are the challenges for sure.
Oh, interesting. And have you like experienced any sort of situations where there's been like a chaotic environment or like chaotic work culture, and if you have been ever working in like larger enterprises when it comes to like actually addressing these issues?
Oh, every day. Oh, okay, okay. I think when people ask me these days, how are you at work? How's things going on? My answer is it's chaos. Uh,
Yeah.
that is, I think, the norm these days, especially these days in the work environment that we are in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and I guess by chaotic, what we mean is the not necessary in a negative way reflecting an organization, but I think that's just the nature of things. When we are talking of, I guess, larger organizations, it's just so many moving pieces to it that there is that element of feeling chaotic because there is no proper direction, I guess, or there are many directions. So a person who is a junior QA or a QA lead or a senior QA, um, there's so many different ideas floating around that it does feel kind of overwhelming to digest. Okay, what am I supposed to do in the short term? What am I supposed to do in the long term?
Yeah.
How do I focus myself towards what are my goals,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that can feel chaotic many times because there are a lot of influential forces within the organization who want to go in a particular direction, but then your alignment also has to be with that, and everybody has their own vision within
Mm-hmm.
the organization. There are different kinds of leadership. So many times it does feel chaotic, but I wouldn't say chaos is necessarily bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you're a Game of Thrones fan, but Littlefinger from Game of Thrones said that chaos is a ladder,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in that term, I would say a chaotic work environment does represent a lot of opportunities,
Yeah.
right? And as a QA, I think it's a skill to understand what these opportunities are,
Mm.
uh, to be able to scale our test automation like in that chaotic environment,
It's like
because
embracing the chaos.
it's really like that. It's embracing the chaos. It's not being dejected by it,
Mm-hmm.
but embracing it and going through it, but
Yeah.
happily. Yeah, not but embracing it in a very happy manner.
Right. So we've like obviously we've spoken a bit more about the positive side of chaos, or rather organized chaos. I'm curious to understand, do you think like chaos would be probably the biggest challenge when it comes to scaling test automation, or would there be like other challenges that our audience should know about?
Yeah, I think the reason it feels chaotic is because of a lot other challenges.
Mm-hmm.
um, Chaos is not just one thing where I can pinpoint, oh, this is chaotic, right? It's the broader term we use to define, I guess, everything that is not going the way it's supposed to go,
Yeah.
especially from a QA point of view. Like me as a QA coming into an organization, a big, larger organization,
Yeah.
and the I don't know what the culture is. I don't know what the internal politics is. I don't know how the alliances are. I do not know what the vision is. So it does take time to kind of figure out and have that alignment and harmony within the QA space, within the software development space.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the challenges I think everybody notices is this: there is just so much fragmentation. What I mean by fragmentation means we have a bigger organization, but within any bigger organization, there are several smaller organizations,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you may have noticed it. I guess our audience may have noticed it. If you're working in a company which has, say, 20, 30,000 people,
Yeah.
it's not one company. Not everybody's aligned on the same thing. That's the
Mm-hmm.
idea. but not everybody is, because you're not talking to everybody every single day.
Yeah.
That's why you have different groups or verticals or CIOs, sort of, right?
Yeah.
And you are in your mini bubble, right? We are all like frogs in a lake,
Yeah.
right? It all depends on whose lake is sort of bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So fragmentation definitely is one issue, because every team starts using their own tool
Mm-hmm.
for test automation. They start using the tool in their own manner,
Yeah.
and it makes adoption that much more difficult. So for leadership, when leaders are looking at it, uh, how do I release my product? But there are these five different tools which are available to release my product. They all do the same thing, but in a very different manner.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm a technical leader, maybe I do understand what tooling, what system, what framework to choose. And maybe I don't, because I'm not dealing with that day to day. It's the QA in the team, it's the QA lead in the team
Mm-hmm.
who is giving me information as to what's the right thing to do, what's the right choice over here. So that's why it requires immense focus and vision and energy to kind of unify things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we end up in a system where you have all these different smaller teams. Everybody is doing things their own way. There is no consistency, and anybody new coming into that environment, that's when you feel chaos, because okay, what is the right thing to do here as an organization? Am I supposed to learn all of these?
Yeah.
But I also have my own ideas from the past, so I bring them in, and now I'm introducing a different tooling mechanism, a different style of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah, so those are all the challenges, I would say, in a larger organization, for sure,
Okay,
especially
makes
from QA
sense.
point of view.
Gotcha. And what do you think would be the one key factor that teams must get right when they're trying to scale automation?
Oh yeah, I got to pinpoint one. Interesting. uh if Let's see, it has to be design. Yeah, it has to be design, I would say. The one thing, if we have to pinpoint, yeah, in my mind, it's clear. Like, it has to be, like, we got to start with good design. What I mean
Yeah.
by design is, if a company has a product
Mm-hmm.
and they want to release that the product could be a software, right? The first thing we do is we bring in designers,
Mm-hmm.
right? We want to lay out how is the user experience going to be, how simple is it going to be to use, um, how can I make it way more efficient for my users, how can I make it more likable for my users to use my product. First thing we
Mm-hmm.
start is with designers.
Mm-hmm.
Then comes the solution architects and the developers, right? That's when they finalize the designs, and then they figure out, through programming, through coding, how can I satisfy that design
Mm-hmm.
using the technology that is available to us. And even there, the solution architects or the development world designs each and every system to be able to create that product. There's a lot of thought going in to what should be the right kind of design to develop my product
Mm-hmm.
that eventually my customers will start using,
Right.
right? That's the basis of it. Unfortunately, when it comes to testing,
Mm-hmm.
we do not pay enough attention or emphasis on, okay, what should be my design to test through automation? What should my automation framework design look like?
Mm-hmm.
Right? We get the product in its work in progress state, and we start testing, or we start automating. So we pick a tool, we pick something that is able to test it, and we just build it. So it probably goes back to our first question, right? Like, why just not build? Why not scale?
Mm-hmm.
So we start building, or you build it. There's not much thought gone to it. It works well in the moment, and
Mm-hmm.
then the parameters changes,
Yeah.
right? Maybe there's a different kind of test you need to run. So we need to change or modify the tool now. And that's possible. You can always modify it. You can use technology to bend things and modify it and add a different layer, and your second test works fine. And
Mm-hmm.
the third test is a different kind. So your third test, you modify the tooling again. And eventually what has happened is, you have not thought through well about the kind of framework you end up going creating. You have kind of put like a band-aid solution over every single thing, and
Mm-hmm.
now this has become a bigger beast. But the challenge is, how do I maintain this? It's very hard to maintain because in order for me to get the test, I need to feed in, or I need to be using this automation framework or an ecosystem in exactly the right way. Otherwise, it's going to break. And if
Yeah.
I don't use it the right way, it's going to affect something else. So I need to spend a lot of energy now in maintaining it.
Yeah.
So instead of me thinking about testing, I'm
Mm-hmm.
now thinking, oh, how do I maintain this framework?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us now will need to spend tons of resources, energy into the maintenance. So if the test automation, whatever we create, is not designed well, it's going to require a lot of maintenance. And wherever there is maintenance, people dread it because that consumes a lot of energy, that consumes a lot of resources. So that's why I feel design is the key. Like, how simple is it for us to use, right? How it enables anybody coming in new into the organization in the QA world, how can they adopt to it? The easier, simpler the adoption, the
Yeah.
easier it is to scale it, the easier it is likable. And
Yeah.
so I feel like that one thing that you asked for is, I think it all starts with design. For me, that is it. So when anybody comes to me with a challenge that, hey, I need to automate this, or I need to test this, instead of just going hands to keyboard and starting to working on a solutioning, it's maybe asking the question, okay, why do I need to do this? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Let me put some thought into how this should operate. Is
Yeah.
this the best design that I come up with? Maybe let me talk to my peers. Let me talk to other people from a completely different skill background. Let me talk to developers. Let me talk to the business. Let me talk to product owners. That if I end up creating this, do they think, what do they think about it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let me get a broader perspective. So I think the design is pretty key there. Then yeah.
Yeah, it really helps with, like, as you said, having that sort of framework, especially when you're trying to scale automation. It's so important because how else would you have like all stakeholders on the same page who know what exactly the plan is? But yeah, really good point. I think my next
Yeah.
question, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to tie that to like, I don't know if you have you played the game SimCity? Have you
I've
heard of the
heard
game
of it
SimCity?
actually. I've heard of
It's a
it.
simulation city, yeah. So
Yeah,
it used to be a popular video game back in the day. I think it is, still is. I don't play much video games these days.
yeah.
But when I used to play SimCity, it used to be, you get a piece of land and you start building your city.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very
They come
easy to
up with
build that
like
city.
different variations of the same game.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, go for it.
Yeah, you're right. Probably there's so many different variations of that game right now, right? So it's the building portion is easy. You can build a road, you can build a hospital, you can build a residential space. So initially everything sounds easy, that you're given a flat land and then you're just building. It's because there's so much land, it's you keep building. And as you expand, you realize, oh, there is some fire happening there. I never put a fire station there. Oh, there's a crime happening there. I need to put a police station there. But I never thought about, oh, now I've drained all my resources in
Yeah.
these two space. I'm not taking care about the third area that I've created, right? So you're gradually kind of building your city. The better the design of that city in that video game, the better it is. It is like self-sustainable model. Then you do not nudge a lot, you do not intervene a lot. So that's the idea of how do you design a good test automation system.
Yeah, you've mentioned like such a good point. Like it's almost like you're sort of building the foundation first, and then everything else just keeps running without you once that is built.
Yes, and that is the idea exactly. To like, why do we automate? I automate because I would say, oh, I'm a lazy person. I don't want to do this job, right? So I don't want to intervene too much,
Yeah.
right? So I want to build something which is going to be self-sustainable, do its job, so that I can maybe focus on the next interesting thing for me.
Hmm. Okay, makes sense. My next question to you is for testers in general, how do you think testers stay relevant in an environment that's obviously constantly evolving, right? Especially with automation, like you said, and AI. AI is like everywhere these days. How do you think like testers are managing to stay relevant, or how do you think they should stay relevant?
Uh, we've gone 23 minutes into this without mentioning the word AI. I think we cannot avoid it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you rightly said, like AI is everywhere.
Hmm.
Uh, but sorry, what was the question? How do testers stay relevant,
Stay
right?
relevant, yeah.
In relevant in the, I think testers will always stay relevant.
Mm.
Okay, that's my take on it.
So
Testers will
nobody should be worried about AI taking their job then. I don't think that really matters when it comes to software
not
testing.
in the current state. Yeah, not in the current state. And good testers. Let me emphasize on the word good testers will always be around.
Yeah.
Um, so AI as a QA, as an entry level QA, we could look at AI as an enhancer for us,
Mm.
not something that is going to come in and take our jobs away.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the AI or the state of AI in current state, it's like it's actually a language model,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not true intelligence.
Yeah.
It doesn't replace the human mind. It
Exactly.
is not. It lacks the skill of critical thinking, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where a good tester comes in,
Yeah.
right? You come with loads and loads of experience, and you come in lots of context, and you're coming in with the ability of critically think about a product.
Yeah.
So how can testers stay relevant is, you can stay relevant not by rejecting AI, but by accepting it and treat AI like any other skill, right? Like having AI as any other skill, learn it. There's a lot of noise happening about AI, and everybody has their own opinion. There's so much material on any side. You go to LinkedIn, there's tons of stuff on AI. You go
Uh,
to like everything is just
I mean,
artificial
I work in
intelligence.
marketing and I constantly get bombarded with like these posts, like people are constantly posting, oh, 10 new AI tools that have worked for me. And everybody has like new 10 tools. I'm like, which ones to focus on? Like now everybody's like hopped onto Claude AI. Previously it was like ChatGPT or whatever else. Now it's more Claude because obviously it helps quite a lot with, team working, and they built like some sort of automations as well. I think Zapier was also into the mix previously. But yeah, 10 new tools every single day.
Exactly, right? And again, that contributes more towards chaos now,
Hmm.
right? That is going to contribute more towards that. It's going to dismantle whatever you created, and then you're going to lose focus. So so I would say, as a tester, listen to everybody, right? Listen, observe. Your observation skills are going to be paramount here, and go ahead and learn yourself. Invest that in yourself. See what is the right path, what makes sense, what does not. There's a lot of marketing fluff floating around as well.
Hmm.
So see what actually gives you real value. And things are changing. Things are like, don't stick to something. I think we get too attached to a particular tool or a particular model or a particular style of doing things. Maybe I should call that out. Attachment is also not just fragmentation, but also being attached to a particular tooling is also, I would say, a challenge in a big larger organization that contributes to chaos. Anyways, coming back to the topic of how does testers stay relevant, is by adopting AI. Yes, because it just makes you do jobs better. AI is not going to take your jobs away. It will if you do not upskill yourself.
Hmm.
But organizations, I guess, um, which do not look at AI from point of view of, okay, I use this technology and now I'm going to lay off my workforce.
Hmm.
Maybe that's a short term thing. Maybe it'll work for them in the short term. But in the longer term, what's going to sustain is, okay, I have my workforce. I give them these capabilities. I'm going to get a whole boost of productivity with my existing workforce, and you keep on adding to that workforce, and you keep upskilling them with all these new AI based tooling and technology, right? So that's where an organization in the long term is going to be ending up doing way, way, way more and
Hmm.
achieving way more, rather than just being short sighted and saying, okay, I'm going to cut my staff.
Yeah.
It's good for business this year. 3 years from now, you're going to rehiring again.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I don't think AI is definitely going to be like the long-term solution, considering how you've already spoken that it lacks critical thinking, and humans would obviously be needed in that case.
Until we get an AI which actually mimics a human, until there is an AI model which is basically able to mimic Vaishnavi. Uh,
You're the first person who's actually pronounced my name correctly. That's like besides the point, but anyway.
yeah, unless an AI is able to kind of sit beside you and exactly think like you,
Yeah.
yeah, your job is pretty much safe, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
about your job being safe. You use an AI,
Yeah.
like treat it as a skill or a tooling,
Yeah.
and apply it to yourself. Now you're like Vaishnavi Plus, right?
Mm.
Or you're Vaishnavi Pro Max, sort of.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I have like a very bird's eye view question for you.
Mhm.
With all the topics that we've discussed in this podcast, how do you think like the future of testing actually looks like in a large scale organization?
Yeah, it's going to be more. I use the word chaos again. It's going to be more chaotic. That's where a good thought leadership is going to matter the most.
Mm.
So if you're a junior QA, learn about what is happening in the AI landscape right now, upskill yourself. If you're in leadership, maybe you were not too much hands to keyboard. I would say get on with it, roll up your sleeves, see
Mm.
what is happening at the ground level,
Yeah.
uh, to just get in tune with what reality is. Um, and for large organizations, it's going to be there's so many different uh, examples to compare from, because what other organizations are doing, you probably don't want to mimic what other people are doing, because nothing is set in stone. Like what has happened with AI is, uh, before AI, like pre-AI period, everything was pretty much stable. Things People had sorted their stuff out, right? Like we
Yeah.
had agile, we had DevOps, the
Yeah.
tooling was sorted out. You kind of pretty much nailed down how do I make the most efficient SDLC model.
Hmm.
Now with AI coming in, it's like you've been hit by a meteor or a comet, and there's so many fragments, and it's shaken things up. It's going to take a while to settle things. It's going to take a while for us to kind of get back on our feet
Yeah.
and identify, how do I use this? How do I start living in this new world that has been created? So we are still in that learning phase. And while we learn, I think we pick on good ideas and see what adoption makes more sense for us. QA's role is going to be even more critical here, because organizations who have good QAs are the ones which will survive well, because blindly using AI is going to hurt organizations in the long run,
Mm.
depending on what kind of it. Like it could be a financial loss,
Yeah.
could also be loss of life if not treated responsibly. So the responsibility is a lot on us as a QA in this industry to be those gatekeepers,
Hmm.
and figure out ways of, here's a product built entirely by AI, but how do you test that, right? How do you scale that? How do you automate that? And how do you kind of navigate in this new world that has been created? So it's a challenge for both. Like organizations are going to rely on thought leaders, basically us, like so it's going to rely on individuals who are able to guide and show them the direction in this new AI centric world.
AI
Yeah.
era. But thank you so much, Roland. Yeah, lovely answers and such an insightful conversation. But with like literally 5 minutes remaining in this call, I think you've been like really on point with your answers. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me and taking the time out. Also, really excited for your speaking session at the conference. But yeah, looking forward to see you there.
Oh yeah, I appreciate setting up this session, and I'm also looking forward to the conference. I think it's May
In
sometime,
May, yeah, it's on 26th of May.
26th of May. Yeah, I think the topic that I'm talking about is how do you scale test automation amidst chaos.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see more. I'm going to talk about like the five-part play, 5 to 6 parts play, I guess, on how do we achieve that. So it'll be interesting, and it's just good to meet fellow people
Yeah.
and like-minded people and kind of share ideas and just learn, right? Like learning never stops.
Hmm. Yes, it's going to be an amazing one. But thank you so much again, Roland. And yeah, let's have like another podcast soon.
Appreciate that. Thanks, Vaishnavi. You have a good day. Okay. Bye bye.